Okay, so let's talk briefly about what statistics is and some of the basic definitions and words we're going to be using this semester. Statistics is what we do when we want to say something about a population. We want to describe it. We want to find our position in it. We want to make some claims about it or evaluate some claims about some characteristic of a society, be it the average height of people, the incomes of a country versus another country. Is this group performing better at something than another group? Anytime we want to say something about a population, we use statistics and statistical methods to determine if these things are true or make these descriptions. So the first thing we need to talk about is a population. A population is any group that you're studying, any group you want to say something about. If we want to say something about seniors at Jefferson College, then that's our population. If we want to say that men earn more on average than women, then our population is all men and all women. If we want to say that American men are taller than American women, then American men and American women is our population. It's the group that we're looking at. The parameter is the characteristic of the group, the measurement of the group. So the average height for all American men, the average height of all American men is a parameter. All American men is our population. If we want to talk about the average income of women in Jefferson County, then that average income is the parameter. Women in Jefferson County is the population. We can, if we have access to an entire population, we can perform a census, much like the census you've been hearing about this last year. Every 4 years, the United States government measures certain aspects, parameters, of the entire population of the United States of America. So we're collecting data from everyone, and then we can say the average income, the average number of miles people commute, the average height, the average number of people living within a household, all of that stuff. So we have a population. We want to know something about the measurement of a population. That's a parameter. We can perform a census if we have access to everybody in the population. What if we don't? What if we want to know something about a population, but we don't have access to everybody, or it would just be too time-consuming or expensive to look at everybody? That's where statistics come in. That's where we identify a sample, and we'll talk about that later, how we would do that. We're going to find a sample or some subset of the population. So instead of all people in America, I'm going to choose 1 out of every 10 people. We'll talk about how we might choose those later. So if I take 1 out of every 10, that 1 out of every 10 is my sample. If I want to find out something about crash testing cars, I obviously am not going to crash every car to find out how much damage that causes to the people inside. So I take 1 out of every cars. I want to know something about the population of cars. I'll take a sample of 1 out of every 100 cars, and I'll collect information on that sample. The information we collect on a sample is the statistic, and we use that to make some inferences about what the parameter might be. So I'll crash test these cars. The amount of damage was this for the sample, so I'm going to say that the amount of damage for the population is pretty close to what it was for my sample. Okay, so if we have access to the entire population, we perform a census and we get our parameter directly. If we don't, we select a sample. That's called doing a survey. And we measure our statistics, and then we use our statistical methods to say, I think that the parameter is about this, or I think this claim about the parameter is right, or I think it's wrong, depending on the kind of thing we're doing. So remember what these words mean. Everybody we care about, some subset of everyone. If we're counting everyone, we're performing a census. If we're counting just a sample, we're performing a survey. When we perform a survey, we get statistics, which tell us something about the measurement of the whole population, which is the parameter. Easy enough? See you next time.